Sir, you revealed to me in a question last week that the RAF had landed a plane without permission in Shannon. You told me this was an accident. They were very sorry. A little bit like, I suppose, the time the Hercules C-130 landed with the 30mm cannon visible, which you told us was an administrative error. Now, at best, this demonstrates a lack of oversight. At worst, a blind eye. I want to know what you're doing to ensure compliance. Will you instruct an audit to see how many other aircraft are landing without permission, and how you think they're getting permission, given the job of military aircraft is to be engaged in
Deputy will be aware permission must be sought in advance for landings by all foreign military aircraft, and if granted, is subject to the most strictest of conditions. These include stipulations that the aircraft must be unarmed, that the aircraft must carry no arms, that the aircraft must carry no ammunition, aircraft must carry no explosives, aircraft must not engage in any intelligence gathering. Furthermore, the flights in question must not form part of any military operation, exercise or otherwise. Tough and robust procedures are in place in my department with a view towards ensuring that the conditions for securing permission for foreign military aircraft to overfly or land in the state are clearly understood and properly applied now and in the future. These procedures are kept under ongoing review. Comprehensive records on requests received and decisions made are retained for the purposes of oversight and for the purposes of monitoring, and are drawn on as needed, including to provide information to the House as appropriate. I set out in my response to PQ 712 of 17th January. In that instance, permission to land was not sought in advance by my department. On foot of my instruction, my officials contacted the British Embassy. The Embassy explained that this had been an error due to a communication breakdown within their system. The Embassy confirmed that the purpose of the landing was to refuel, and that the flight was unarmed, that the flight carried no arms, that the flight carried no ammunition, no explosives, and was not engaged in intelligence gathering, nor did the flight form any part of any military operation or exercise. I wish to point out that there were 21 requests for permission for the Royal Air Force aircraft to land in 2016. In each case, the correct procedures were followed.
I have to say, Minister, your excuses are getting increasingly thin. The only thing these aircraft do is engage in military operations. So what do you think they're doing the twice a day, for example, that the US military land in Shannon if they're not involved in such military operations? The point being is it's clearly insufficient for you to rely on diplomatic assurances. Your answer to me would seem to suggest that the reports that you get is after the landings, which is insufficient as well. And I wonder, could you comment on military contracted aircraft? Because twice this month we have had aircraft from Sun County Airlines and from Miami Air, only this week, landing in Shannon with civilian call signs and then changing those call signs to military ones. How are you tracking those planes? These aircraft have been tagged to destinations which are presently involved in bombings in Syria and are coming back to Shannon, changing their code from civilian to military. What measures do you have in place to monitor that these airlines are in compliance with the rigorous conditions which you have outlined to the House?
Our monitoring is robust. I wish to reiterate that thorough and robust procedures are at all times in place in my department, with a view towards ensuring that the laid down legal conditions for securing permission for foreign military aircraft to overfly or indeed to land in the state are clearly understood and are properly applied. These procedures are kept under review. My responsibility Minister for Foreign Affairs is in respect of military aircraft, military overflights, military landings, issues relating to civil aircraft, matters to my colleague, the Minister for Transport. I would be happy, however, to convey the points as raised by you, Deputy Daly, to my colleague, the Minister for Transport. However, under the order of 1952, the primary responsibility for the regulation of activity by foreign military aircraft in Ireland rests with me as Minister for Foreign Affairs. The practical implementation of this provision is guided by, and can I say yet again to the House, that the practical implementation of this provision reflects Ireland's traditional policy of military neutrality.
Thank you. Deputy Daly, there's 1 minute left, so make your...
On or bust is an abuse of language in this scenario. When an aircraft changes its sign to being a military sign, when you know that this week it proceeded to an airbase which is engaged in bombing raids in Syria, could I ask you, what do you think that aircraft was doing there if it wasn't involved in military operations? When another one went to a position on the Syrian border which is used by the US to launch drone strikes, again, what do you think that was doing? And maybe you could tell us, for out of those requests for landings by the US military in Shannon in June of last year, where NATO was running its largest war game since the Cold War in Poland, 70 requests were received in June, compared to 40 in January and 37 in August. We've been repeatedly assured by you that they're not involved in military exercises. Could you tell us what they were involved in during that spike period?
Minister, you have a very short 20 seconds.
I'm satisfied that when these requests are received by my department, that the regulations are fully complied with and that the law is adhered to. And can I say that our focus is on ensuring that the information sought and the information provided with regard to flights and aircraft are fully demonstrating that there is full compliance with the conditions as applicable. I can point to issues such as the times at which the landing takes place. These are operational issues for the pilot in consultation with the airport in question. They do not affect a decision whether the aircraft meets the strict conditions or not, but I'm satisfied that our regulations, our codes of conduct, our laws are strict and robust, and the information that we seek is supplied accordingly.
Questions 49 and